WTF What's the Focus podcast is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started.
You're awful! The preceding joke was brought to you by Men. We don't know what we did.
Thank you so much for joining me. This is Ryan Kerrigan with What's the Focus podcast, WTF for short. Today we are going to be dropping a little breakdown of the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker trailer. It is coming to us to a theater near you within this year. Pretty pumped. This is going to be a pretty brief trailer. We're just going to go over a few things, and we're just going to go scene by scene and see what comes up. So just getting right into it. First scene is going to be showing Rey. She seems to be on some kind of desert planet, so speculation is it could be Jakku or Tatooine. Reason for being at either one of those locations, don't really know. It could have something to do with her lineage, although I hope it's not. I'm kind of getting over that story, so hopefully we're moving past that. But nonetheless, she's here, and you see her looking into the distance. She's controlling her breathing, and all of a sudden you can hear Luke talking to her, which I think we're going to see a lot of in this movie. We're going to see him moving on into his spirit form, and we're going to see a lot of communication to the point where I think it's going to be kind of like a normal conversation between the two. I think, anybody looking in, she might look like a crazy person, but I think that Luke is going to have a huge role in this movie, even if it's not his actual physical presence. Anyway, Luke is stating that thousands of generations of Jedi now live in her, but this is now her fight. So in this scene now, Rey actually takes her out her lightsaber, turns it on, and she starts running in the opposite direction of a very fast-moving ship, which seems to be the TIE Interceptor. It looks a little like Kylo Ren's TIE Interceptor from The Last Jedi, but the face of the Interceptor looks a little different. This one looks to be a little more square, more updated, where in the last one, the face of the front of the ship seemed to be more of a round structure. So I still think it's Kylo Ren with just an updated ship. Why he's trying to just kind of run into her instead of blast her, maybe from a previous scene, maybe weapons are no longer working, or whatever the circumstances are, I still think that is going to be Kylo Ren. Anyway, as she starts running away from the ship closes in on her again at extremely fast speeds, and at the last second before there would be any contact, you see our main character Rey do this incredible backflip. And you can tell that she's about to kind of put out her saber, and I think she's just going to cut that thing right down the middle to dismantle the ship. As much as I've actually read on Twitter, people hoping that she does some kind of monster backflip and then does some kind of superhero landing on the top, and then pulling out whoever's controlling that ship that way. But either way, really cool scene, especially to start the first trailer with this movie. Just got me excited from the get-go. The next big scene, we're going to see Kylo Ren, and he's got his saber out, and he seems to be catching somebody with his lightsaber out, and the lightsaber on his handle is going into his assailant, and I can't really tell who that would be. He's wearing a mask, whoever he's fighting, and it doesn't look like anybody that we've seen thus far, so probably a new character. But he shoves the guy to the ground, slicing him on the way out, on the way back up. Pretty cool scene there. And then something I'll break into maybe a little later on another podcast as we dive further into it. I think we all know that J.J. Abrams is now taking over, back over, to finish this whole entire story of all films. And I can see a little bit of kind of the melding that he's trying to do to kind of fit the pieces back together, since I believe The Last Jedi was not the story he would have went with if he was directing. So it's kind of funny to see that even in the trailer, one of the first things he shows is a object that was very symbolic in the last two movies that was destroyed in the last one, and here we actually see somebody, not Kylo Ren, but somebody actually pick up his helmet that was shattered and put the pieces back together. So we get a shot of that. And then we get a shot of Finn, Poe Dameron, and BB-8, and BB-8's new little sidekick by going by the name D.O. So that's going to be a new character that looks fun, and somebody that I believe is just going to follow BB-8 and assist where he can. The next cool scene, we got our boy Billy D. Williams coming back as Lando. He's sitting in the driver's seat with Chewie as his co-pilot in the Millennium Falcon going into light speed. We see a couple of explosions in the next scene while the crew, it seems to be with the C-3PO and Poe and Finn, trying to evade some enemy threat while they're on a land speeder. Next scene, we're going to get Leia and Rey, and they are hugging it out in some kind of tearful embrace. We'll see how they do this. I believe Carrie Fisher had passed by this point, so I think we're going to see a lot of CGIing, maybe replacing some scenes from the last movie and some clever editing. Kind of looks like the hug that they had at the end of the first movie that JJ did, where they found out that Solo was killed, and maybe they did a little editing from there. But regardless, the next shot's going to be of BB-8 and his new little friend, I said, D.O., Poe, Finn, Rey, C-3PO, and they are on top of a hill looking down at what seems to be the carnage of the Death Star. Now, people are asking, is this now from the first Death Star or the second Star Destroyer? And honestly, I think because of what I'm going to bring up next, I think it's going to be the first Death Star. That's deep down what I think. And when I do look at the actual picture and I just freeze frame that picture, there are certain indications from where the actual firing disc actually is that makes me believe that is going to be the Death Star from the first movie. After we see and something else just to kind of touch base on this as well, I got a lot of Lord of the Rings kind of feeling as all these characters were sitting on top of the hill kind of looking what seems to be kind of their last location. It kind of looked like all the hobbits and everybody getting ready to go to Mordor and looking on where they need to go to destroy the ring. It gave me kind of that feeling, and I think that's kind of going to be what it is, where they're all going to be working together to get to this location to do whatever they need to do, wherever the story is heading. Next, you're going to hear Luke again in the background saying, "We will always be with you. No one is ever really gone." And of course, right after Luke says, "No one is ever really gone," they decide to drop a huge bombshell on us, and we hear Emperor Palpatine's laugh as the trailer comes to an end. Unbelievable. I was very surprised to hear this. A lot of speculation whether or not we were going to get a physical Palpatine, how he would have survived from when we saw him explode, whether or not he actually went into some kind of other dimension, which we know is possible through some of the Attack of the Clone series. But we also know that any kind of Sith Lord can attach himself to a object, and that object can kind of talk and speak and possibly show influence to whoever it's talking to. So my guess is possibly Emperor Palpatine maybe was in Darth Vader's helmet and it was in communication with Kylo from the beginning, and he's been orchestrating everything from the get-go and kind of been in the shadows and trying to find some way to have his vision come back to life. The name, The Rise of Skywalker, as the title, I find very intriguing. Some people thinking that maybe it's Kylo Ren, which we know is half Solo, half Skywalker, and maybe this is the rise of Skywalker coming back into the light and more coming back to where he started and seeing his kind of character development go from dark to light. Other people are speculating that maybe it's its own category now, and Skywalker is its own now generation of Jedi. So when people are going to become a Jedi, they're now going to becoming a Skywalker, somebody to kind of follow into their footsteps and become this iconic mentor and this iconic person of development within what is possible to do within the Force. It gets a little confusing, I know. It sounds a lot more clearer in my head, but I would love to hear any theories when it has to come with the title of the movie. Again, I thought it was a very, very intriguing title. It's definitely got me pondering a lot of things. I am just so excited to see the next trailer, hear from actors and comments from the cast and crew. I am just hooked and so excited, a little overwhelmed, but I am very excited to see, and I'm very hopeful that J.J. Abrams can close this out and bring everything together and make this the movie everybody wants to see. So anyway, thank you so much again for joining me. This is WTF What's the Focus podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Again, please feel free to look me up on Twitter on What's the Focus. Again, post any kind of comments or any kind of theories, maybe something you would like me to actually share on the podcast. I would love to do so. This is episode 3. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Thanks again.
Dunkin' has a whole new line of handcrafted signature lattes. Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, and Cocoa Mocha. They're so delicious, you'll realize that you've been spending a whole latte time drinking the wrong coffee. So even though you've been together for years, it's time to say goodbye to your ex, Coffee Place. Because you've got a latte love for Dunkin's signature lattes. Sipping is believing with Dunkin's new handcrafted signature lattes, like Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, or Cocoa Mocha. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll proudly mow the lawn. Ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn. Tell people to stay off the lawn. Compare it to your neighbor's lawn. And complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance, which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.